able to share God's words with his people, to be able to remind ourselves of what God wants us to do, to be able to remind ourselves on who we are, to be able to remind ourselves how far the great God of heaven has brought us far, and to be able to remind ourselves to know that we are just here for a moment.
That's all.
Knowing that this world is not our home. This morning, I want for us to reflect our mind on the book of Judges. The book of Judges, I really like the book of Judges. It is a time in Israel when God was dealing with them in a different level, in a different dispensation. Make them to be able to understand that they were going through a cycle period. We do not know a certainty who the author is, but all tradition have pointed out to Solomon is the author of this book, been written in 1000 BC. The children of Israel, after the death of Joshua, they have promised all things God has fulfilled for them. It left for them to possess the land and be able to be happy in there too. But as me and you, we always sometimes forget. So the children of Israel forget about God. They went to follow worshiping idols, doing all kinds of things them too. So in this time, in this cycle period, is that why they were all going around in a cycle. They will sing. God will take them into exile. He will punish them. They will be distressed. They will pray to God, Lord, we're sorry, we'll not do it again, please forgive us. God will raise up a judges to deliver them. And that judge will deliver them and will go back to a sin. So they're all in a cycle. That's why you see in the book of Judges, different judges rise up at different given time. It's just like a child. You tell the child, say, look, try to be home at 9 o'clock. The child come home at 10 o'clock. You spank the child. Say, oh, Mom, I beg you, I will not do it. I beg you, please. Don't beat me. Just give me my meal. I beg you, it will not happen again. You say, okay, then grandmother is dead. Oh, please, listen to him. He's begging you, forgive him. Grandmother is pleading for the child too because she don't want for her grandson to be spanked. So she's pleading. You know, grandmother always try to defend the kids. Even if the child is wrong, she always try to support it too. Grandmother is pleading. Grandpa is pleading. Then mommy say, okay, I will leave him. I'm not going to spank you. Leave the child. The child go back. Sin again and come back. So we're all in the cycle period. So the children of Israel were going in the cycle period. They will sin against God. God will send them into exile. They will suffer. They will be very distressed. They will be under pain. They will cry to God. God will raise up a judge. Samson came, Gideon came, Deborah came. And this other time that in Judges chapter 11, come a man by the name of Jephthah. Turn to me to the book of Judges chapter 11. I will be speaking to you on the theme, they reject me and the Lord restore me. They reject me and the Lord restore me. Have you been rejected?
Amen.
Look 10 years back, 5 years back, 15 years back, 20 years back. The pain of rejection. How it make you look miserable. It make you to reach at the verge that all hope is gone. You want to lose hope. You feel that nobody cares about you. Nobody seems to understand you, what you are going through. It looks like you alone is just against the whole world. Everybody hates you. Rejection is very painful.
That's right. That's right.
Regardless of whatever, it is very painful.
That's right.
But there's something happening here. In Judges chapter 11, reading from verse 1. Now Jonathan Gideon was a mighty man, a warrior. His son, his mother. He was the son of a mother of a harlot. His mother was a prostitute. He was the senior brother. His mother was a prostitute. That means his father never married his mother and brought her into. And Jephthah took care of his brother. He took care of his sibling, his youngest brothers then. He nurtured them, he made them to feed at home. They all grew up to become men. And when they realized that Jephthah's mother was a hider, was a prostitute, they one day rise up and say, Lord Jephthah, you're no longer going to enjoy the inheritance of our dad. You're going to, because why? Your mother was a prostitute. So we are sending you out. Their own brother, his younger brothers, that he had raised, that he had nurtured them, when they realized that his mother was a prostitute, they said, Lord Jephthah, we are sending you out.
Rejection.
You know what it means for your own brother to turn against you? To say, go away? You know what it means for your own child to turn against you? Your dad to turn against you? Your mom to turn against you? Your family to turn against you? You alone just standing in the midst of the storm. It is painful. And Jephthah have to leave. In Psalm 41 verse 11, Psalm 41 verse 9, David said that you, my own companion, who are we dead ate together, have lifted up a head against me. Brother, you know what is painful mostly? If a stranger hurts you, you can get along with that much easier. But it's somebody who you trust, somebody who you lie down for, somebody who you sacrifice for, somebody that you believe that you can even stand for them. When it hurts you, it touches you.
That's right.
That's what the Psalm David said that in Psalm 41 verse 9. He said, you my friend, you my closer friend, that we have ate together, the bread together on the table, have lifted up a hand against me. It was a painful time. So Jephthah had to leave his father's house. He was not leaving as a senior brother. He was not living as a happy brother. He was living as a distressed, a frustrated, and angry brother.
That's right.
Nobody seems to care.
That's right.
The elders, the people, nobody seems to care. Nobody was willing to speak out for him. But he was going in pain.
That's right.
Walking in pain. It's just like somebody in a relationship or in a marriage. One morning after you prepare the breakfast for your wife or for your husband, after eating, and just tell you, say, honey, I have packed my bag and baggage, I'm leaving. Sometimes you'll be thinking that you will get a blackout. The light will go off in your world. Like your whole world is turning around. When your wife or your spouse tells you, I'm walking out. And you say, what have I done? And it's not about what you have done, what you have failed to do. When the person's heart is not right with God, he or she doesn't care who they hurt. When a person's heart is not right with God, don't have a relationship with God.
That's right.
They don't care whether they hurt you or whether they mistreat you. They don't care.
That's right.
But few things you got to be able to understand where rejection comes from. Few things you have to understand. One, rejection also comes from ourselves. When we begin to blame society or not waiting to forgive ourselves for mistakes that we have done, we reject ourselves. We reject ourselves when we have lose confidence even in ourselves. But how can you lose confidence first in yourself? You must lose confidence in the God of heaven. Because when you lose confidence in the God of heaven, there's nothing to be important to you.
That's right.
He begins to reject yourself. Like in Luke chapter 15, the prodigal son. When he despised his own house and said, no, I have to go away. I'm not feeling comfortable here. I have to go away. I always tell people, there is nothing wrong with you leaving house or going.
That's right.
But you have to know when and how you are leaving.
That's right.
Leave the right way, the right time, and go with the blessing. It's always important. You don't just say because I'm 18, so I can just move out. Are you prepared for the world out there? Rejection comes from ourselves too. Rejection also comes from the society, from the community. When the community begin to despise you or begin to measure you in a glass, and you begin to accept that, then you are allowing the community to control your life. That's what happened here. The elders then knew what was happening. They knew what was happening, but nobody was willing to speak up for Jephthah.
That's right.
Nobody was willing to speak up for him. He went out in that pain.
That's right.
Of course, the society and the community rejected him. Rejection also comes from our families, or for the one that we chose. Sometimes the family feel that you have disappointed them, so they're no longer willing to support you, no longer willing to be able to care for you. But brethren, we got to be able to understand. God hasn't rejected us.
That's right. That's
Why
right.
would we want to reject our fellow man?
Well.
Why? Our God that we serve is a God of a second chance, a
That's
God
right.
of another day, a new beginning,
That's right.
a new pace. How long will you continue to hold it against the person? How long would you have in your mind a place in your heart to let it go, to say for Christ's sake I will let it go and start a new pace over with you, a new relationship with you? Brethren, we have to begin to reconcile with God, with ourselves, and with others. And with others. Maybe somebody just waiting to get a card from you. Just waiting for a phone call. Just waiting for a new beginning. A new starting point over. Forget about that. What have happened? He or she may have wronged you or offended you. But have you asked yourself, how many times have we offended the God of heaven?
Well.
How many times? Rejection also comes. God put us in a cycle period. The Liberia went through her own problem because we despise God. When our leaders and when we felt that we were all comfortable and upright, and our leader no longer began to seek God. And Daddy used to tell me that in a mansion, or what you call the White House, in Liberia, they will every month, the leader's name, the president and all his ministers' name will set a day aside in the month just to pray and fast, just to pray. It kept the nation at peace. It kept the government thinking about God, how to treat his people. But that desire went away.
Faded away.
And they felt that they were too busy. Oh no, I'm too busy. I don't have to be coming here, spending time to pray and fast. No, let everybody go to the church. Let everybody do their own thing. And Liberia began to lose her relationship with God. And when the leaders begin to lose the relationship with God, the people also begin to lose the relationship with God. At the end of the day,
That's how it works.
we start fighting and killing ourselves. Then we went into a civil war. And people begin to ask why. Why? Because why? We left God. We left God. We left the foundation. We left our roots that were built upon a Christian principle. We left out. And because we left that, since we lose the communication and the relationship with God, we enter into a civil war. Since God was not part of the plan, we begin to kill ourselves. So we all fled into exile. So many died. Both male and female, children, all was taken out. Against their own will, they have to. The child at the age of 6, 7 years old have to hold gun and begin to kill people innocently. No relationship with God. When the people will lose relationship, they reject that fellowship with God. And there's nothing to bring them back unless they return to God.
That's right.
So we all have to be scattered going up to exile. Going to exile. A lamentation will say in verse 5 will say that my people have to buy bread and water at the rates of their life. In Liberia, our water was free. The government gave you water free. You don't pay for water. But when we went in exile, we have to buy water by cup. We have to buy water to take bath. Instead of taking shower 2 times, 1 time. And our women, they have to go through a lot of pain or in exile. And those who survive, like some of us, have planned to go back and be able to rebuild. Because why? We left the foundation of God. Amen. So when we go back and see men and women and children in pain and grief, wondering where this great love of liberty that brought us this far, where is it? So when we go back to the root, got to be able to return to God.
That's right.
So we're making this mission trip to Liberia in next month to be able to go and restore the lost church, be able to help to build a vocational school so that our young men who have grown up, who have been fighting from the age of 6, 7 years old and have grown up now, may have a new life and a new beginning. So that the mistake that our forefathers they made, they will not be able to make it again.
That's right.
Jephthah was rejected. He went home. But brethren, you have to understand that no matter the pain, God is a God of a second chance.
That's right.
Man may reject you, but God may never reject you.
That's right. That's right.
So look down to verse 3 here too. Jephthah fled from his brethren and dwelt in the land of Toran. There were the greater adventurous men gathered around him. Verse 4 says, it came to pass that Israel was going into war, that the elders, the own people that who are rejected him to say, go away, your mother is a prostitute. They came back to Jephthah and said, look, Jephthah, we beg you. Now we see, they are not only saying, look, Jephthah, come back to your father's house. They are saying, Jephthah, we are giving you the nation in your hand. We are putting our life into your hand. Be our leader. Brethren, when God taking us through a storm, we have to be able to understand what God is taking us through.
That's right.
Let us not just be angry of every trials and tribulation in our life. Let us be able to understand what is the process that God is taking us through, what God is trying to teach us through this process. Genesis chapter 39, the story about Joseph. Remember Joseph, his own brother saw him. His own brother, that his blood run through them, saw him. And because of that, Joseph went into Egypt.
That's right.
But you see, when God has a plan for his children, he can bring the enemy, the nation, the society may suppress you. But it's just for a season and for a time.
That's right.
God's children will always be victorious because of our relationship with God.
That's right.
Amen.
That's why we're talking this morning about a miracle. She will remain despite of her shortcoming, but because the majority have relationship with God.
That's right.
So Jephthah has a relationship with God, even though the society and his own family rejected him. That's what happened to Joseph, even though his own brother despised him. But God was in the plan.
That's right.
In Genesis chapter 15, verse 15, he said, "Look, you meant this evil for me. You made this thing wicked for me. But God have turned it over for a better man."
That's right.
So, brethren, we have to be able to understand what God is carrying us through this process. Let us not just be angry with the whole process, or just be angry with the people or the person that is trying to hurt us. Maybe God is trying to teach us something. Something. So we don't need to slip through that process. We need to be awake.
That's right.
And just be thankful. Say, Lord, just give me the strength to go through.
That's right.
Give me the courage to stand through. If you can remember 15 or 20 years back, there are people who would never believe you, who never trusted you, who just feared that you were going to sink down and this is going to be the end of your journey. But God brought you this far,
That's
both
right.
physically and spiritually.
That's right.
You got to be grateful for the journey, how far God has brought you. You may think that everything seems not to be able for you to not to be able to understand. There's things that may be happening in your life that you seem not to comprehend. That you understand and say, why is this happening to me? Every time I try this, there's a problem. Brother, you got to be grateful and thankful for the mighty long journey that God has brought you, both physical and spiritually. All that you have achieved. You gotta be grateful. You may think that there is nothing, but brethren, you are 10,000 times better than many outside there.
That's right.
You gotta be grateful for your present stage. You gotta be grateful. When you walk around, you see the homeless. You walk around, you listen to the news. You see people there in some very, very difficult condition. But yet and still, God make you to be who you are today.
That's right.
Jephthah went away. They rejected him, his own family. But the elders came back to him and said, "Look, Jephthah, we are not only going to restore you to your father's house, but we are going to give you the whole nation to be our leader, to lead us through." And Jephthah said, "Is that it? They make an oath." He said, "Yes, Jephthah, we make an oath and we'll be like this." Look at verse 11. Jephthah led them and Jephthah become their leader.
That's right.
Jephthah become the leader. Jephthah was with them. If you look at the whole chapter, if you read the whole chapter, Jephthah went with the war and he was victorious. He even made a vow to the Lord to say, "Lord, whatever come out of my house first, I will sacrifice unto you." He has an only daughter. His daughter came out to him. He was moaning and crying to say, "Why are you girl?" But brother, you have to understand. If you read the whole chapter, Jephthah never killed his daughter.
That's right. Sure did.
God never required human sacrifice. God never required human sacrifice. Sometimes when we read it, one will begin to argue to say, "Oh yeah, Jephthah sacrificed his daughter, make her as a burning offering." No. Jephthah sacrificed her in a different sense that she was never going to marry or give birth to a child.
That's right.
She's just going to serve the Lord all the days of her life. And one of the enjoyable time of the women of Israel is to give birth and have their family and the children. And that was taken away from her. So she pleaded with her dad and said, "Look, Dad, give me 1 month. Let me go out to the mountain and be there with my friends and weep." And after that, you can do what you have promised to the Lord. But Jephthah never killed. God have never required human sacrifice. It was always animal sacrifice that God required.
That's right.
So sometimes people will read the Bible and say, oh yes, the Lord said that, the verse said that Jephthah did to her as he vowed. No. If you make a vow to God that contradict God's plan, that vow can never be completed. He make a vow with the intention that there will be a cattle or there will be a sheep that coming out of the house, and he will make a sacrifice unto that. But he become a human being, that vow cannot be. That vow cannot be.
That's right.
But brethren, Jephthah was rejected. By the end of the day, he was restored to the higher position. We may have been rejected in different ways. Or sometimes we have the perception that people have rejected us. Sometimes it's like if we see our parents being so high or so technical or so strict with us, we think that they do not love us or they do not care about us. It's only for our betterment. When I look back, how my dad was very strict and my mom was very strict, and sometimes you can think that, oh, whether they really love you, but brethren, it's always for the betterment. It's always for the betterment. It's just like there's some of us who have older people and we are rendering services unto them. We are taking care of maybe our older brother, our mom who is sick or who is have some mental problem. Taking care of these people, sometimes it becomes challenge. But we have to understand it's part of our Christian responsibility to take care of the elderly. To take care of them. It's our Christian responsibility to be able to share. It is part of our Christian responsibility to give our best even in the midst of the storm.
That's right.
That's what we need to be able to do. If we sometimes begin to pick and choose about children, or begin to pick and choose about family members, then we are losing our Christian value. Because God showed no partiality to anyone. The one that you may despise may be the one that may even be willing to go the extra mile for you. And one thing our mom always used to do, she always treat everybody, whether children that she adopted, children that was there, she always treat them on the same level. And sometimes we can even wonder to say that whether we were her own children. But always to prepare us to know that this life or this world is not our home.
That's right.
So, brethren, let us bear in mind that regardless of how much we think or we feel that we are being rejected, believe in your mind that that is just from a man, but that is not from God.
That's right.
That's just a man rejection, man despising you, but it's not God. But we as Christians, let us not despise and reject others.
No.
Let us be at peace with ourselves.
That's right.
Let us reconcile with our fellow men. Let us reconcile. It may be difficult, but brethren, we need to reconcile. Somebody needs to be at peace with us. Somebody wants for us to be at peace with them. Shall I be at peace with them too? Next month, God willing, it's going to be a reconciliation period in Liberia. As we go back, we're going to have a 4 days public preaching, and we're going to be able to bring parents together, children and parents together. Because there are some parents who are just angry with their children, and there are some children who are just angry with their parent. I understand that they have the right, because here is this boy who was 7 years old. he killed his dad or he killed his sister under the influence of drugs, and the family don't want to have anything to do with him. And he had just grown up with that hate and that rejection. I know. It is with us in this place as a church to be able to bring this family back together to say, look, we understand that technically it was not this boy's fault. It was not this girl's fault. To kill your husband. He was under the influence of drugs. They just hold you, just inject you with an injection, and they give you the gun. You just go out and begin to kill even your own mother, your parents. You just kill anybody you want to kill. And these children have grown up. And as a church, the society and the government cannot do it because the government said don't even have the resources to do that.
That's right.
If the church had to come in to make that gap, that's why we are trying to be able to build up a vocational school for them so at least they can learn a trade. These children are 29, 28, they are all grown up. They cannot go, they have children. They cannot go into grade school, first grade or second grade. But we can give them a trade to learn carpentry, mason. Something at least they can support themselves as they try to reconcile with their family. They go through. Nobody can do it. It's only the church that can be able to fill that gap too. That's why we are pleading to individual and congregation to be able to support this trip. So that at least we'll be able, that this trip will be possible, that people may be able to return to God and also be able to return to their family. You know what it means for you to just be standing in your ward, just angry. You just grow up by yourself. Nobody without love. Nobody have ever loved you. You don't even know how to love. How can you give love? So they are giving birth to children. They are even angry with the children. They're angry. Do not know. The child cannot figure out, say, Daddy, what have I done? The child don't even know what the father is angry. The father don't even know what he is angry for. But it's a church has to be able to stay in that gap to solve that problem. And that cannot be possible without the support of you. We need the support so that at least we can be able to let Liberia return to God, let the children return to their parents, and let the parents return unto them too. When I think about the story of Jephthah, I think about the boy of Emmanuel. At the age of 9, he had to rape his own mother under the influence. How can he forgive himself? He said, Elijah, I cannot forgive myself, and I don't expect God to forgive me. How can he deal with that? It's only the church had to walk him through the process and be able to help him. There are many, many stories then that we're listening to on the daily basis. And one of the things that we're going to do, secondly, that we're going to be able to give them food and clothing, especially to the women and the children, the single mother. To be able to give them food and clothing that at least we can be able to go through. We don't have the resources to build up a center for them. But what we intend to do is at least to be able to feed them on a daily basis. When they go out to school, when they go on the farm and come, they can come to the church where they can relax, have a good water to drink, to take a shower, and be able to eat and go back home. So at least we can build up. We got to be able to start from somewhere. So that we may not just lose that whole generation. Just lose that whole generation. If not because of God's grace, I will not going to be standing here speaking to you today. And we all win because why? We lose our identity with God. So God have to carry all of us into exile. Many never survived in exile. Just how the children of Israel, many of them. Many of our brothers, our sister, our mother, our uncle, our dad, many of them die in exile. It's only few that will retain. And one of the few that will go to give them second chance, and God gave us second chance too. So that what we have to witness, what we have to see, these children, they don't deserve it. But we got to be able to do it. We got to be able to do it. We got to be able to support it. So we always say the land of the free. Land of the free, because we always say the land of the free because it was the people from here who went back to establish Liberia. They settled there and raised up that place, the truth. But always important knowing that wherever we labor, wherever we invest into Liberia, it's part of our Christian duty. It's part of our role. So we are pleading to you to make a contribution so that this trip here next month will be successful. If you help a child, you help a nation. Just for him to know that somebody loved him. Just for him to know. Just for that father to be able to forgive himself and stop just being angry. You know what it means for a dad just to come from the farm or just from work, just be beating you? Just hitting you. You haven't done anything. He's just hitting you. You know what it means? We may not be able to understand it because maybe we haven't witnessed that or we haven't gone through that. But Jephthah understand what it means to be rejected. Jephthah understand. Joseph understand what it means to be rejected. He understand what it means for him to be alone in his own world. Like nobody seems to understand. Nobody seems to listen. Nobody seems to care about what he is going through. The government in Liberia cannot do it. The hope for the next generation is the church. It's the church to make the difference, to give those people a new beginning and a new hope, so that what God's name will be glorified. When you all your brothers, God is a faithful God. He will never allow his children to go astray. He will never allow. That's why when we go astray, he always tries to remind us to say, return unto me. I'm your God. I'm your God. We may think that we have all grown up, but before God, we are still like a children.
That's right.
We're still like a children before him, nurturing us. But how do God want us to return unto him? It's through the church.
That's right.
It's through the church. That's why he established it. That's why he died for. But how can the church return us to God? Is what? It's through baptism.
That's
You gotta
right.
be baptized.
That's right.
Why is baptism important? Because it's the only way your sin can be forgiven.
That's right.
It's the only way your sin can be taken away to have a relationship with God. It's through baptism. And sometimes we may ask and say, oh, but I have been baptized. Oh yes, brethren. You have been baptized. But you have to ask yourself the question, if you're baptizing in line with the word of God. That's what we have to be able to understand. If you're baptizing in line with the word of God. There are so many churches with different doctrine, different teaching. Sometimes it breaks my heart. Because why is that they are sincere people. They are faithful people then, who really want to know the truth, want to know the right way. But their leaders is leading them astray.
Yes.
So you see, sometimes they are so busy that they do not even want to spend time searching the Bible. So it's only what the minister say and they all just follow. But brethren, one thing I like about God, God will always provide an opportunity
That's right.
For his children to know the truth and to come out. That's why when the children of Israel were going through a cycle in the sin, God will always raise up a judge to be able to help them to return to him. So that's why when we are going astray, God will help us to be able to find the truth. So we have to begin to understand and ask ourselves, if I have been baptized, was I baptized the right way, honoring the right authority, the right time, in the right place? You got to understand. You can justify yourself like that. But brethren, on that day of judgment, what will you tell God? Will you tell God, Lord, I've been baptized? So you can prove it for me from the Bible. You check it up, and your baptism is not in. Your baptism is not in the Bible. It's going to be a sad day.
Yes.
It's going to be a painful day. There's no word to describe how painful it will be. You know, not only that it will be painful to you, it will be disappointing to God. Because why? Number one, you can read, you can understand, but you allow your heart or you allow somebody to lead you astray for too long. But you can make it right. There was a church that the Lord died for. He purchased his blood for. It's a church that he's coming
That's right.
to save back. So he wants us to be baptized there. That's what he gave us his blood for on that cross. So brethren, let us begin to re-examine our baptism. Let us begin to re-examine our baptism. You see, you may be baptized somewhere else. But you know what will make your baptism wrong? Because you were baptized underneath a wrong. It's just that you go into a college. You go into a 2 years or 3 year college. And that college is not accredited. All your years that you're spending over there, your paper is not valued.
That's right.
Your paper is not valued. It's nothing. Nothing there. So when you have been baptized underneath a wrong teaching, before you may think that it is baptism, but before God it is not. Because why? That day that you are baptizing, you are being baptized, the Lord turned his face spiritually from there. Because he don't want to see his precious child going through that wrong process. So spiritually, the Lord turned his face. The Lord turned his face. Because he don't want to see it. He don't want to see it. Anytime that you are being prosecuted, anytime that you are being hurt, the Lord turned his face from that. Because the Lord don't want to see his children going through such a process. But brethren, it's never too late. God is a God of a second chance. He's a God of a new day. No matter what you may think or what people may tell you, you got to re-examine your baptism and be baptized. The first one you think you have done, you call it baptism, but before God, it's not a baptism. It's not. But God has given you a second chance today to make it right. As He's going to give Liberia a second chance to return to Him. Asking the youth, the children, to return to Him is a second chance that God is going to give to us as a nation, as a people, so that we may have a relationship with Him. God is giving you a second chance today to reconcile with Him, to reconcile with that family member.
That's right.
To be at peace with that family member. Maybe it may be your wife, it may be your husband, it may be your daughter, it may be your auntie, it may be somebody in your family that God wants for you to reconcile with. I know the person may have wronged you. God doesn't care much whether the person has wronged you, but God cares that you must do it because He wants you to make the difference. Every good food or every good thing is expensive. It's expensive. It is difficult to reconcile with somebody who have hurt you, but it is not impossible. God wants for you to do it, and you need to do it. You can justify yourself anyway, but God is saying that reconcile and be at peace. He's saying reconcile and be at peace. Don't wait for the person. Go. Go. Like God said, tell Pharaoh to let my people go. God is saying that go, reach out. Reach out. Just be there. You know, brethren, one thing, let me tell you. If you lose your family, you lose everything.
That's right.
If you lose your physical family, you lose your spiritual family, you lose everything. There is nothing in this world will be happy for you. You will just be in a stage of denial.
That's right.
Nothing will be happy with you. You will just be in denial. When you lose your family, you lose your family, you lose your children, you lose your parent, you will only be in a stage of denial. You only be. Yes, I know sometimes children will walk away, and as parents will be thinking that, oh yes, he have walked away. But brethren, your blood run into that child, or you took that child as your own, and God know that you took that child your own. So before God, that is your child. Your blood run into that child, whether it was your biological or not. God know that is your child. And you got to be at peace. We got to be with our parents. We got to be our parents. Mother went through a 9-month pain for us. Maybe dad was there or dad was not there. But we got to be able to understand family, a family. It's just in a relationship with a marriage. People or friends may come and go, but your wife will always be there. Your wife may not express or may not be able to love you the way you want her to love you because she's from a different training. But that does not mean that she does not love you. Or maybe because she is not saying the word that you want to hear, or she is not putting the A and the B the way you want it to be. That doesn't mean that she don't love you. She love you in a different context, but she love you 100%. And she is the only one that will be there when push comes to shove. When everybody have gone away, she will be the only one that will stand there for you.
Well,
likewise, the husband. You say, oh yeah, he's bad off, he this, he's that too. But brethren, your husband loves you more than you can ever imagine. But we men will not express it or say it the way we want to do because somehow, we are not too that affectionate. Oh baby, oh honey, oh sweetie, no. Some men we are not like that. Coming home bringing flowers and everything. Well, we say it in a different ways. But it doesn't mean that he or she don't love you. But we all express our affection in a different way. Women sometimes, some of them are very sensitive. Very sensitive. Sometimes you have to close those things because sometimes some things when you hear, pretend that you do not hear it. Some things when you see, pretend that you don't see it. So that God's name will be glorified. So brother, I will stand to sing the invitation. Make a pledge today to reconcile with God, your fellow man. Be part of the mission work in Liberia next month, the first week in next month, the 1st of November. Supposed to be leaving for Liberia. We're going to be there for 1 month to be able to put things together, to be able to see that we be established and be able to get things going on too. So we're asking for your support so that this trip will be successful. We're asking for your support so that our family will be able to reconcile with God and also with the child too. I will stand and sing the invitation.
would you live for?